Hi everyone. So today I've invited a very good friend of mine, Alex, and we're gonna have a chat, just a chat about being in recovery from addiction. So, hi Alex, welcome,
Hello,
welcome.
Marn. Hey, everyone.
So, um, Alex has always struck me as somebody who has a lot of insights and is quite a introspective, contemplative person, right? So it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts about various topics. So the first question I think would be quite interesting to talk about is maybe about connections. Let's talk about that. And I think that when I was in addiction, when I was drinking, I felt really alone, you know. I felt really alone, even when I was in a party, even when I was in a family situation. I was always alone, and I often craved being alone. Like, I would take my bottle and me to like hide in some corner, like I was in the laundry room. And I just wanted to be alone, and it was just a very strange kind of, they call it a bit of a spiritual disease, right? It's like we're always feeling alone no matter where we are. And when I came into recovery, one of the most difficult things was to start having connections with other human beings, and that was terrifying. It was terrifying. And I think at the beginning, I never did. I never made much connection, and slowly, I talk to people who are in recovery and they have the same experiences. I remember one lady, she told me, she said she was a very fearful and insecure child, you know. And I remember when she said that, it was so intimate and it was so honest. I really appreciated that because that was how I felt, I was a very fearful and insecure child, very. And she kind of hit the spot, and I don't think that I ever grew out of that. I'm still that fearful, insecure child. It's just that the alcohol helped me block that out. I could become like this confident, social, full of courage kind of person, which I wasn't. Deep down inside, I was never that. So what do you think? What are your experiences with that?
Well, um, for me, as a child, I definitely liked to be alone. Um, I enjoyed. I mean, there was a healthy sense of being by myself. I like to read books. I like to escape into my books. I like to explore nature. Go wandering around. All the sort of stuff. But later on, there was also trauma that happened in my life, and people who were supposed to be maybe parental figures, guardian figures, they were um, you're in intimate spaces. You're in the space of a house, and it's like you can't escape. As a child, you're powerless, and these people hold all the power in the world, and they are brutal. They are abusive, or whatever you call it. And as a child, I felt there was the more vulnerable I was, the more I was liable to be abused in whatever way. um, and so I learned to shut myself off. I learned to fear being intimate with people to truly connect, right? I mean, and how do I say it? And for a long time I was masked. I wore different masks. As a man, I had to be macho. As a employee, I had to look like this. As a family member, I had to be this, blah blah blah. And I also, like you said, I also portrayed confidence. I also portrayed like arrogance, all the sort of stuff. But deep inside, I felt like shit. I didn't feel good enough. um, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror like a lot of people relate. I literally couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I wake up, I don't want to face the day. Why? Because I just don't feel good enough, about myself, to face the day, face myself in the mirror, face other people. And it was, as time progressed, it became harder and harder. I had to really drag myself out of bed in order to face the day, face other people, but even face myself. Alcohol helped, you know. In the beginning, alcohol was fun, when I drank it. So I've always had anxiety. I've always had um, I don't know, maybe, yeah, I suppose a bit of nervousness about situations, about people, and all that. And when I encountered alcohol, I found that, stress and anxiety and fear became maybe dull down, when I had alcohol in my system.
Mm.
And also, I've always had a lot of buzzing in my head, a lot of thoughts all the time. Someone told me recently, I talk and process both at the same time. So then, they are all crisscrossing over one another. When I am drinking, I don't know, it just feels like, things are dulled down a little bit. And sometimes I just need that, I need my head to slow down. And the only way I knew how was through alcohol. Um, anyway, so basically what you said initially was about connection to people. Um, so so what happened to me was, I couldn't connect to people. I didn't want to connect to people, and when I had to get out into public, into trains, into workspaces, I put on masks.
Mm.
But it took a lot out of me, a lot of strain, because I was always thinking, are they judging me? What are they thinking about me? Is my mask slipping? Oh, that was one of the worst things, when people could somehow see through my mask to my real self. Somehow I felt very ashamed, like I was caught undressed. It would either make me feel very fearful or defiant, like "fuck you" kind of thing will come out. And it was always very weird. And the worst thing was, wearing masks for a long time, I started to actually lose sense of who I actually was. Everything got really confused. Uh, yeah. So yeah, that's my response to what you said about connecting with
Actually,
people.
it's a quite an interesting topic about wearing masks, and how like in society now, I feel like people respond to masks, people respond to masks, and that's why all the plastic surgery is rampant, and how everybody's on Instagram and all this like Photoshop pictures, it's about portraying an image of oneself, right? It's not really showing really who we really are, and it's almost like if I show who I really am, people will not accept me, and it's quite interesting. I've been going to this Zen meditation, right? And my Zen meditation master, after 10 years of meditation, he told his students, he said he was suffering from depression. And he said, out of 10 students, maybe only one was left. Everyone else left because his mask of being a Zen meditator was off, and people didn't respond to the real person who is depressed. And I thought that was really interesting because, I teach yoga, and and people would have this idea of like I should be like a certain way, I should be very calm and very like peaceful, and I'm not. I suffer from anxiety, I suffer from depression. I have found a lot of tools over the years to manage myself, but I have to manage myself. I've learned to manage myself, but I'm not perfect, and nobody's perfect. And it's very interesting that people respond to mask so much in our society that like it scares me. It really scares me sometimes to see that like actually.
Well, if I can just say something, I hear what you're saying about masks, about the Zen meditator, people left when he took off his mask.
Right.
At the same time, so for me, for a long time, I was really insecure about how I looked, right? I'm a dark skinned person, right? And our society, Singapore society, is majority fair skinned, right? And I used to always feel that, I'm never going to be taken seriously. I'm going to be, always seen as a second class person, this and that. um, and eventually, through recovery, through a lot of work, recovery work, I've come to be cool about who I am, right? Like really be cool about who I am. I'm at peace with who I am. And a lot of, I felt I'm short a lot of the times, and now I'm like okay with it. Whatever height I am, okay with it. I used to feel I'm skinny, and now I'm okay with it. And what's happened is that yes, there were people attached to a certain mask I wore. There were, when I was drinking, people used to think, "Oh, you're so fun, you're so funny," all this sort of stuff. When I stopped drinking, they said, "You stop being fun anymore, dude." you know, and those people left. They did leave. But for me, I had to save myself. I had to be real. I had to be myself, because otherwise I was dying, literally and figuratively. Literally, because for me, when I drink, every time I take a gamble on, is it going to be jail this time? Is it going to be hospital this time? Is it going to be hospital for somebody? I was taking a gamble on all these things. And so no matter how painful it was to take off my mask and get more real, expose my real self, um, I had to do it to save myself. And with that, yes, I now have a different life. I have people who actually value me for who I am, like you, and I have other people also in my life, who actually tell me, that they value me. And there's still that voice inside me that tells me that I'm not worthy, that I'm not good enough, all this sort of stuff. But it's progress from where I used to be. And yes, there are people who wear masks and who respond to people who wear masks and all that sort of stuff. But people also respond to people who are real, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Right. Right. Yeah, I remember when I was drinking, this lady came up to me. She knew me from work, and I was all made up, and the makeup is a mask, and I was standing there drunk, I suppose. And this lady came up to me and said, "Why are you so miserable?" And I remember like it was like a moment of clarity. I was like standing there thinking, how did she know? You know, how did she know? I mean, I thought I put up this great front. So it's interesting. And I want to touch a little bit about childhood stuff. I think that it's quite interesting because I was talking to someone earlier, and a lot of people have had childhood trauma. There are not many people who have had this movie style childhood. Like we think that like we are the only ones, but actually it's not true. Most people have had challenges because nobody came with a script on how to be a parent. And our parents just like fumble along, and they think that by punishing you it would be good for you. They think that by telling you you're not good enough, you will strive. And so there's a lot of like this nobody had that like let's encourage and praise. I wasn't brought up like encourage and praise. So I relate to that. Like I felt when I was growing up, I felt very traumatized, like all the time, like that I'm just not if I open my mouth, I'm gonna get slapped down. So yeah, I did, and it was never good, because if I get an A, I should have gotten an A plus. If I got a B, it was like if it was first in class, if I was seventh in class, I used to be first in class. You know, I was just never good enough. So it was very difficult to say that like this voice of like being not good enough has been instilled in the head, you know. So now there's this person, it's not my mom or my dad anymore, it's me, you know, that is like, how can you not have done like more, you know, it's just more. And it's exhausting. And it's no wonder that I had to drink, you know, because when I drank, it was like, ta-da, you know, I'm free, yay, you know. I just,
One therapist I went to told me that I used to think perfectionism was a good thing. It's a good quality to have. Then she actually helped me to realize that it's actually coming from a place of shame.
right,
Right? Nothing I do is good enough, and just feeling like I've already pushed myself to my limit. I've already done my best. Yet I'm beating myself up. I'm thinking I'm worthless. And I'm my worst enemy. I don't need enemies. I can be on a deserted island and I can be super miserable.
but do you find that like that also translates to the way you treat other people because you're so demanding on yourself, you start being demanding on other people, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, all I
Yes.
see, like I work with a freelancer, and all I see in the work is always like flaws. I only see the flaws, and it drives me crazy because you know of this demandingness inside me, you know, and I'm constantly quite demanding on him. He knows. He edits, he knows, you know, and I'm just like constantly demanding because that's how I am with myself. But
Yeah.
maybe that's not always a bad thing, you know, Alex. Sometimes I feel.
Well, in my personal life, it has definitely been good. I've definitely like been able to learn a lot of things, progress in a lot of ways. Um, I don't know, I think for an addict or an alcoholic to have come so far, I think definitely this not good enough voice has pushed me a lot. The bad thing is, at the end of a good day's work, I find it difficult to say you did well to myself.
Right.
You know, it's like, what's the point of working so hard and achieving things if I just can't rest and feel good about myself? What's the point,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. It's interesting, right? So
Yeah.
maybe it's about changing the voice, you know, changing the critical parental voice to like a kind and gentle voice that says, you know, sweetheart, you know, you did really well today. You know, it's okay. You know, you were angry. It's okay. You know, like this very loving, like loving that even that critical voice. You know, that often they say the critical, the parts of us that are not so great in our to ourselves, like it's not so desirable. It's just parts of us that needs love. You know, it's just trying to get your attention.
Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe I've tried this and it's worked somewhat, but I'm still. I would be honest. I'm still at a loss about how to feel good about myself at the end of a good day's work. But there are moments where I do acknowledge that today I did my best, the best I
Mm.
could, and it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but it was better than what it used to be, or it's good. It's good enough, and I'm able to say that, and those days are amazing, actually, honestly, when I'm able to just feel satisfied and at ease with myself.
Do you find affirmations don't work?
Affirmations do work. They do work. But being a bit obsessive, I can carry that a bit too far. For example, some years back before recovery, I I started to write out what I want to achieve for the year at the beginning of the year. So I will write out, literally, this is what I used to write. I'll write out, I'm going to become a millionaire this year, something like that. I'm going to go to work on time every day. I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to do that. I will, da, 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 da. In the beginning, affirmations, so every day I will read it before I start my day. In the beginning, it was good. It will always be good. But as time progressed, um, yeah, affirmations are good. They help me somewhat, but I will start feeling stressed. They actually start making me feel stressed. It's
Right.
like a to-do list that isn't getting down. It isn't getting smaller. It's there and it's reminding me how much I still have to achieve and how much less time I have. How much less time I have. I start feeling anxious. And each time I take out the affirmations, I start feeling like, oh fuck, man. And then I go through it and I feel punished. I just start feeling punished after some time. So for me personally, I don't do affirmations. And to-do lists also, as much as possible, I avoid them. Because what it does is, it just feels like I'm being chased. I make a to-do list, and after a while, it becomes a monster that's chasing me. It's like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I was thinking, right, talking about this, right, I was thinking that perfectionism is something that I see a lot in addiction. I see a lot of addicts very super perfection, like because they feel not good enough. So the bar is set so high, and then the bar is set so high, and then there's so much anxiety to meet that bar, of course, so then it causes all this. You know what I was thinking recently? I was thinking that, like, actually my first addiction before all the substances, before escape became, before I wanted to escape, I think my first addiction is to my thinking, is to my negative thinking, so that somehow my thinking is not positive. My thinking is always like, grandma doesn't like me. I went to my mother and told her when I was like 3, grandma doesn't like me. This person doesn't like me. That person, this, I think my first addiction is to very negative thinking, and I feel like setting goals, setting affirmations is not big affirmation, it's tiny ones. Like, just for today, I'm gonna think positive only. Just for today, one day.
That is a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So just now what I said, right? I used to set 1 year plans.
Right. That's
And
crazy.
that was after I got humbled a little bit. Before that, I used to set 5 year plans. And 5 year plans were like, okay, I'm going to become a billionaire in 5 years. And then I'll break it down into, okay, I'm going to become a millionaire in 1 year. And so on and so forth. It was just wacko. Um, of course, the 5 year plan didn't materialize. And for 5 years, I was just tortured. Every year that passed, I was just tortured by not moving any closer and actually moving further away and becoming more of an alcoholic and going deeper and deeper into my black hole. And becoming bankrupt and things like that along the way. And so 5 year goals didn't work. Then when I found some strength to set my goals again, I set 1 year goals. They also didn't work because I was still the same person, even though my window had shrunken. And then I said, just before I came into AA, I set a 6 months goal. So what happened was I had tried so hard to like start my own businesses, to get rich, to become successful, to show the world I matter, all the sort of stuff, or reverse, to get the love and respect and recognition and approval that I wanted from the world. I had failed, completely failed. And I came to a point of surrender after an e-commerce venture failed. I kind of just looked at the sky and said, um, universe, if you're out there, I just let go. There's no point for me being so stressed, trying to start a business to become free, and the freedom means so much stress. It just wasn't computing anymore. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No, you don't.
So I stopped. I just stopped. People say don't quit. For me, I quit, and I looked at the sky and said, you know what? You show me. If there's anything, I'm just going to wait for the universe to lead me the right way. I literally said that, and I let go. And about for the next 1.5 years, no, 1 year plus, maybe over 1 year, 2 months, I just took it easy. I tried to simplify my life as much as possible. I stopped lying in my interviews because that was a standard thing to do. I stopped lying in my resumes. So then, because I stopped lying, I was able to stop feeling so on edge all the time that I was going to get caught, I was going to get found out, all this sort of stuff. I was able to say, I don't want to get involved in drama. I'm not going to get involved in politics, workplace politics, drama at home, whatever. And because I was able to say that, when drama came my way, I was able to, fight for myself, righteously. Okay, so what happened to you? Should I even go there? Maybe later. But, things, I kept things simple purposely. I knew that I had sort of taken a real backseat in my life at that point, and uh, and uh, and things flowed. Then I found out. After that, I found out that I had a problem drinking. And when I found out I had a problem drinking, managing my money, managing my discipline, everything, I set myself a 6 months goal. That was the point. I set a 6 months goal. And my 6 months goal was, okay, the 6 months I'm going to straighten out myself. I'm going to become disciplined. I'm going to figure out, how to make business work. Da, 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 da. The instant I set such a goal, I started drinking harder. I found a support group for alcoholism, and and what these people who had recovered were saying was, um, they had to quit. They had to quit this thing. They had to quit drinking. It just wasn't working for them. And I heard that, and I knew it was the truth. I had to quit also, but I didn't dare to say, I'm going to quit forever. I just couldn't say it because I tried 5 years. I had tried 1 year. I tried 6 months. Nothing worked. I even tried 1 week. I tried to budget myself $200 per week to drink, and within a couple of days, I'd blown all that money and more. And so I knew it. I had come to a point where my self confidence was, I can plan my life out for 5 years. Came to a point where I couldn't even plan for 1 week and control and manage it. That's how beaten down I was, and or maybe humbled. And I came in, and then they said, why don't you try to quit drinking for one day? And then it struck me, hey, I haven't tried to quit drinking I haven't tried anything for just one day, just for today, 24 hours. So that was the one thing I hadn't tried, literally. And so, so for a guy, who tried to plan for 5 years and set everything perfect, I finally came to a point, I didn't even dare to try one day, and I gave it a go. But I thought, no way, everything I've tried, every time I set a plan, set a goal, it's failed. But I needed this. I needed to stay sober. So I tried for one day. I was able to get through that one day, and then I tried another day. And each day, the plan was this, okay, just for today, I will try hour by hour to, be sober. And tomorrow, if I drink, so be it. Fuck it. Fuck tomorrow. It's only today, and it's only today matters. Because I only have today. I don't have yesterday. Yesterday is dead. Tomorrow, I don't know what will happen. I might die tomorrow. A bus might hit. I have today, hopefully, but I have this 24 hours.
What do you say? What do you say to people who say, "Well, I'm gonna die tomorrow, so I might as well drink"?
I might as well. Yeah, well, that's your choice. Why not? Go ahead, enjoy. My choice is I don't want to drink.
Right.
That's all I would say.
Right. Right. You know what I was thinking while you were talking is that I remember like going to Bali, right? I always go to Bali for yoga, and I would do like 3 hours of yoga because I'm so hardcore, right? And then I'll go for massage and I'll see the people in Bali, right? They have no stress in their face. She was sleeping and she'll wake up just to, oh, when you walk in, she'll wake up and give you a massage and then, go back to sleep. That's it. And then they'll have lunch and then there's no ambition, financial insecurity, striving and
Ego, emotional entanglement.
no, and then they have a lot of prayers. They're very ceremonial in Bali. Prayer is like a massive part of their life. God is a massive part of their life. So there's a lot of like God and love and flowers and spirituality and that's it. There isn't like all that stuff. I remember thinking like, this is unbelievable because I'm there going like, and then I have to go for my manicure, and then I have to go to the meeting, and then I have to go for dinner. And I was like, what? Why do I have so many? So the idea I'm trying to say is that maybe our definition of success is because we feel like in order to be taken seriously, like you say, like the self-worth, then I need to be this in order to be good enough. That is a little bit warped, because there are societies that are really chilled, they really don't have that. I mean, during the pandemic, I messaged some of them to ask if they need money or something because there's no tourism. And they were like, yeah, hi, Miss Man. Yeah, we're good. They're just not stressed, because they don't have that kind of value of success, is different. I think the value of success, if we set a different value, as in, if the value of success for me is just for today, I'm a good person. That I'm kind, that I'm sweet, and I'm helpful, and I'm nice, just for today. And that is my value of success, rather than ambition. Because what happens, I feel like with ambition, whenever I have ambition, I'm insane. I go into this demanding, insane mode, and then I can be ruthless. I can be quite rude. I can be quite, mean. I just think about that goal. I just want to get that goal, that thing done. I don't care how I get there. Whereas like when I let go of that, right, and say like, okay, what I'm focused on just for today is who I am, who I'm showing up today, what's coming out of me today. That's more important than whether or not I met my goals. So my goal becomes, who am I? You are your goal, basically. I become my goal. And someone told me that, like when I was very lost, I said like, I don't know what my goal is anymore. And someone said to me, why don't you make you your goal? And I was like, I never thought of that, ever. Never thought of that, I never thought of cultivating myself. How do you master yourself? How do you master your mind? How do you master your emotion? How do you become the person that you want to be, and make that the goal, and then everything else is good to have, on the side. And that's quite interesting because that has never been the goal in our lives in society, right? I mean,
Yeah.
no.
Well, in recovery, I've learned a couple of principles that I never had before. Like you said, the people of Bali, right? They just sleep. And the person I used to look at such people and think, lazy, stupid,
I envy
and
you so much.
well, but the thing is, what I'm starting to understand is that, and also they are humble, right? They pray a lot. They acknowledge there's a power that's bigger than them.
Yes.
For me, I was an atheist. Why?
Yes.
Because there's no power greater than me. I am the greatest power in my life and in your life. Why not? Uh, but today what I'm understanding is that they are they're actively practicing humility in their life, right? Every day when they pray, there's so much humility. And the other thing is that they're not stupid.